Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today we're going to talk about Crossout, the third-person multiplayer vehicle shooter that is post-apocalyptic. It's a bit Mad Max-esque, and it's got some really cool aspects to it, like the ability to build and customize your own combat vehicle. We're going to talk about the journey from 0 to 10 and a few tips and tricks on building your vehicle. Now, Crossout is made by Targum Games and published by the same people who published War Thunder. It's for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 4, and if you'd like to know more about it, there's a link in the video description. And although the footage you're watching here is actually from a co-op raid mission, most of the gameplay really revolves around PvP combat in sort of variations on TDM style scenarios. Each vehicle in the game is given a point value based on the sum of the parts it's built from. This is called power score. And basically, if you're building a giant vehicle with tank treads and all the biggest cannons and armor on it, well, you're going to use a lot of expensive parts, and that's going to up your vehicle's power score. The higher power score you have, the higher the power score of your opponents that you're going to get auto matchmaked against. So basically, you can't build a juggernaut of a vehicle and not expect to go up against other juggernaut vehicles in multiplayer. And as much as I wanted to jump into the game and start playing around with giant robot legs and tank treads, well, you gotta level up to rank 10 before you can unlock a lot of the higher level items. And that's what I'd like to focus on in this video, as it's a bit of a journey and I learned a lot along the way, and I've got a cool vehicle loadout for you guys to copy and build on your own if you want to make that process a bit easier. And in case you're wondering, no, this is not that vehicle. In fact, I put this clip on here to show you how not to design a vehicle for this game. It's fun playing at the lower power score vehicle levels because you're going to see a lot of goofy vehicle designs that are super ineffective and frankly a lot of fun to destroy once you start to figure out how to design your vehicle better and take advantage of some of the game mechanics. And that's something that might not be readily apparent in the beginning. There's a bit of a learning curve trying to figure out how to put together the most effective vehicle. And this right here is one of the more effective designs that I started to modify and work on for a while. It's not my design. Somebody else in the game was running around with a very similar design to this. I copied it and started modifying it until I basically came to a design that I thought was pretty much perfect for the power score that I was aiming for. The major benefits of this design are speed, excellent handling, and wheel redundancy. I used to drive a lot of vehicles with 4 wheels, which is fine until you get one of those wheels knocked out, and then pretty much all your mobility is gone. You might be able to sort of inch across the battlefield after that, but you're not really going to be dodging any shots. This design can actually lose up to 50% of its wheels and still maintain fairly decent mobility. Hell, I've been down to 2 wheels on this vehicle and still able to get around all right. Now, in addition to having great speed and handling, it can also pack 4 machine guns that are spread out in a way that makes it very hard for your opponents to take out your weapons. One of the better tactics in this game right now is to go for your opponent's weapons at the start. You can easily knock out their guns a lot of the time, in which case they won't be able to do any damage back to you, and all they are at that point is just a driving vehicle. And you can actually see there that I just took a very heavy hit to the front of my vehicle, and the tire redundancy is coming in handy. I've still got 4 tires, and it's not really slowing me down too much. My rear wheels are redundant steering wheels as well, so I can turn and dodge just like I could before. And after that kill right there, there are 3 enemy players left. And I'm going to be in a 1 versus 3 scenario against them. And I'll show you how going for the weapons allows me to actually defeat them all and win the game. I noticed that this first vehicle only has 1 gun left. As soon as I take out that gun, I ignore him and start going for the next vehicle with weapons on it. As soon as those guns are gone, I then switch my attention immediately to the next vehicle that has firing weapons still on board. As long as I can take out those guns, I've got a fighting chance at winning this 1 versus 3 battle. Ramming still does damage in this game, so you have to watch out for it, but it doesn't do anywhere near as much damage as a fully loaded machine gun. And there we have it. I won the 1 versus 3 scenario. My vehicle was on its last legs at the end there, but they didn't take out my weapons, and so I still had plenty of firepower to finish them off. Now, before I get into the build of this vehicle, you're not going to be able to construct this thing as soon as you start the game. You're probably going to have to hit rank 4 or 5 before you have the necessary parts to start putting it together. That being said, hitting rank 4 or 5 really isn't too difficult. I think a lot of the starting pre-configured vehicles are pretty easy to rank up with. You can use 3 machine guns, 2 shotguns, whatever you want to do. It's really not too hard to gain a lot of battle points and rank up quickly through ranks 3, 4, and 5. That should give you enough parts to start building a preliminary version of this, and as you rank up higher and higher, you'll be able to get more and more parts to better outfit your vehicle or better tune it to your specific playstyle. And really, this pre-configured vehicle that I'm driving right now, basically just kind of a pickup truck, is very much the building blocks for what we're going to be getting into with the 6-wheeled vehicle. Okay, so we're looking at the basic frame of this vehicle. I'm going to go over a very basic build that I think you should be able to do early on, and then I'll modify it a bit to show you how I've modified it as I gained more and more parts. Now you can see how the frame is built here. We've got 4x4 by 6x4 and then another 4x4 and a fairly rigid construction. On the front, I'm actually using my starter steering wheels, and I never got rid of those even in my more advanced build. And then on the sides, we've got medium wheels, and then in the back, I've got smaller steering wheels. Now you could put small steering wheels up front instead of the starter wheels, except that these ones have less mass and it basically allows my vehicle to go a little bit faster. They are less durable though, but since we have 6 wheels total, I'm not too worried about losing a few. Now we got to get a frame on there, so I'm going to go in here. I like the Huntsman. Of course, if you're starting off and you don't have the Huntsman yet, you can use the Gorilla, but basically the Huntsman fits on there nice and easy. We're going to add a little bit of reinforcement on there with some structure. I like to put the fender on the side there. This fits nicely over the tire. This is basically going to give us a little bit more protection around our main frame there. And basically they're going to have to get through this armor to do some damage to the core of your vehicle. Now, if you have another fender, you might not at the start, but this can be a nice way for building up a little bit more structure in the back there. We're actually going to want to mount some weapons on the back. If you don't have 2 extra fenders, you can use a lot of different parts that you might have at your disposal. Now, I like to, at least at the start, I was using some grill in the back here, as we're going to use that for some extra turret mounts. Now, this is the very, very minimal base design that we're going to start mounting weapons and other gear on. You can start modifying from here as you see fit. And ultimately, with my final design, I didn't have these grill on the back, but it's because I replaced them with a higher level item. Now, let's get into the turrets. You should be able to put these basic LM54 turrets on here. You should be able to fit 4 of them, as we have 8 power slots. Putting these ones back here give me good line of sight in the front, so I can basically continue to shoot over the front of my vehicle or past the front of my vehicle. And since this is so fast and I'm going to be whipping around a lot, it's going to provide me a lot of good line of sights with all 4 turrets. Now let's talk about modifying this a bit further. Certainly we can reinforce the hull a bit more. We're going to need to be able to take some extra damage. I like putting some bumpers on the front of this vehicle. So let's see what we got bumper wise. The off-road bumper is a very strong, very durable one. And then I actually put a secondary bumper right below this. Not only do these increase the damage you do on impact, but it also further protects your vehicle. Now, if you like, we can even do some additional reinforcements on the side of our frame here. And this again will just provide more cover in that bullets are going to have to take these panels off again before they can damage the main part of your vehicle. We want to take it a step further. We can go ahead and use these running boards, which are actually pretty beefy. They have a bit of weight to them, but they can protect our frame even more. Now they've got to really shoot through a lot of different angles here to damage our frame. And if you'd like to take it a step further, you can put a back on here so that people can't shoot through the back get your frame that way. I think that might be maybe unnecessary, but if we're going to put some components in here, it starts to make a bit more sense. Now, if you want some real speed with this guy, it might take you a little bit longer to get this. I bought this off the market. It's not very expensive at all. So if you start building up a little bit of currency by playing some games and selling items, you can put a light engine in here, and this is just going to make you fly. I mean, that makes a pretty darn big difference in just how much mobility you have. And it's going to allow you to engage opponents and get out of the fray basically whenever you want. All right, now I'm going to talk about a few modifications that I made to this down the road once I got a few more unlocks at slightly higher levels. Again, most of this can be done before you hit rank 10. In fact, I think just about all of it can be done before you hit rank 10. So what I did is I actually got rid of this rear section here, as I found it to be one of the weaker parts of the vehicle, and I would end up losing those turrets a little bit earlier on. And so I wanted a slightly stronger system for getting in there. All right, this next object I'm going to modify the vehicle with is a gun mount. You will get this at a slightly higher rank, again before 10, but you can basically put it right on the chassis of the vehicle there. What I then end up doing is putting a turret there, and instead of blocking my line of sight there, I then bring one of the turrets back here and another one up here. Now we've got pretty good visibility all around, and the back of my vehicle is a bit more durable. Like I would lose those two back turrets sometimes, and so this is a nice way of reinforcing the rear turret, giving me a nice solid area for these two turrets on top. I think I have generally a little bit better gun visibility and better durability in the rear. Now, I found this build to be so efficient that I had no problem adding a bit more decor on here to get some extra score at the end of the game. And see, you can see we're at 2100 power score right now, 2174. I ended up adding these small speakers that I was able to get off the market for not a very expensive price. And we can use these speakers to actually cover up our engine a little bit, add a little extra protection to the engine and to the back of our frame. So we're getting extra renown and speakers. And then I was also able to hide, if you have stuff like this, you can use lights, headlights, of course, but I was able to hide some horns under the back here. Keeps them a little bit more intact, but basically you want to use your decor in a way that can also further armor your vehicle. And the same thing can be done with these headlights here. You know, the same principle. I just think that the speakers and the horns under there are a little bit cooler looking, and they're a little bit more efficient once you get those parts unlocked. But you can certainly do the headlights in the meantime. I mean, I could put more lights and more decor on this vehicle as it stands right now, certainly more armor plating if I want to, but it's in a pretty darn good space for the power score that we have right now. This thing is ready for combat. And again, this base design is so versatile that you can really add or subtract what you want from it, depending on your playstyle. You can see here that I have a little bit of a radar going on there that's going to help me see people at further ranges. I even put a radio on of various configuration at one point, and I was even messing around with some of the explosive tipped spears for ramming applications, which was actually a lot of fun. I recommend it for fun, but not necessarily the most effective tactic out there, especially when players are ready for it. And although you're free to modify this design as much or as little as you would like, I would recommend keeping the power score somewhere between 2000 and 2300. It'll allow you to matchmake a bit faster. If you want to like take this to like a 3000 or 4000 power level, that would be kind of cool. I'm actually thinking about maybe messing around with that, but the matchmaking time will probably be a little bit longer. So ideally for ranking up to 10, you want that matchmaking time as short as possible so you can get game after game after game and continue to practice and perfect your combat technique. Now, this chassis might not really be your thing. I like it a lot because it allows me to be very fast. But if you're a slower player, you want something more in a sniper configuration or heavy weapons on a slow, heavily armored vehicle, then this isn't necessarily the right vehicle for you. Its power comes in the fact that it can put out a lot of firepower and stay very mobile all the time. It's got decent armor given how mobile it is, but it's not something that you're just going to want to sit still with, as you lose all of the benefits of this design. Anyway, I encourage you guys to play around with it. Here's me using the spear configuration for some really fun instant kills on unsuspecting players, which is always fun and funny. I didn't see a lot of people using the explosive spears in this game, but they're pretty darn funny, especially when you just like one-shot somebody with an epic ram. Anyway, that kind of wraps it up for this introductory video for Crossout. If you guys are going to check it out, it is free to play. It's available on PC, PS4, and the Xbox One. I recommend it. I think it's a solid game. I had a lot of fun with it, and I would like to actually explore post level 10 gameplay a bit more, as things get way more complicated. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check the link in the video description, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.